In this video, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite applications that I have running in my home lab, one of the first things I actually installed, and that is Overseerr. And the reason we're talking about Overseerr here is because they actually did a migration, a merger, a name change to simply Seerr. You can see here on Reddit there was a name change not too many days ago, and the main reason for this is the teams behind Overseerr and Jellyseerr, Jellyseerr being the fork of Overseerr that works specifically with Jellyfin, and Overseerr being a Plex application or third-party utility. They merged together, so now you only got one thing and you can use it cross-platform with Plex and Jellyfin. We're going to be migrating my old Overseerr instance over to Seerr, and then just kind of, again, overviewing the application if you've never really seen it before. But before we start all that, we do need to thank the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark. If you're anything like me, you've probably connected to dozens of different networks throughout the week, or use something like Gluten with your Docker containers. Whether if you're connecting in coffee shops, airports, hotel Wi-Fi, whatever it is, the thing is, all this traffic is just out there. If you're not using a VPN, anybody on the same network can see exactly what you're doing if they know what they're looking for, and that's where a VPN comes in. Surfshark is great, especially if you're just getting into the world of VPNs. I really appreciate how simple it is. You just open the app, click connect, and you're good to go. All of your traffic is encrypted with AES 256, which is the standard used by governments and military. Pretty solid. But it's not just security. Surfshark also has a built-in ad blocker and malware protection, so you're cutting out all that junk before it even hits your browser. And one thing I really like is you get unlimited devices on a single account. So you can run it on numerous Docker containers, your desktop, your laptop, your phone, whatever you want it to be on. All this at no extra cost. They also just rolled out a new web content blocker and email scam checker, which is just a nice addition to the suite of tools that they already provide. So if you're interested, go ahead and go to surfshark.com/techhut or use code techhut at checkout to get an extra 4 months for free. They got a 30-day money-back guarantee. There's no risk for trying it out. So if you want to learn more, do check out the link down below. So now, again, I am running on Overseerr at the moment. You can see I got a little message here. Migration available to Seerr. It's going to take us to the migration guide here, and it's actually really simple. If you use my Docker Compose stuff, chances are you have this spun up with Docker Compose, and it is super easy as switching out the image, adding init true, and changing the container name. Everything else will work completely fine. All the names, database stuff, and everything will be done automatically, so it's really easy. If I scroll down here, we could see Windows, building it from source, which if you are doing the LXC, so the helper script for this, you might need to do this one right here. We also have Kubernetes, we have Nix, AUR, TrueNAS, some of the paths you're going to have to change, and we have Unraid right here. I'm in Unraid, so we're going to do that. Now, Unraid is basically the exact same as Docker, but you can see here we are going to have to change our directories. So if you're on Docker, what we're going to do first is spin down our actual instance here. So you can see I have mine right here. So I'm going to stop this. If you're asking why I'm on Unraid at the moment, I was just kind of playing around with it, testing it out. They've done a lot of really nice updates as of recent, so I wanted to kind of give it a shot. Now in the guide it specifies to use the terminal instead of just renaming it, so I'm going to do that, but I don't see why simply renaming the folder won't do the same thing. But let's go over here. We are going to open up the terminal here and then drop this on in. I'm pretty sure my app data Overseerr, all this is correct. If you have a different name for your app data folder, do change that here. But if I hit enter, we should be good to go. So now, actually, let's just close out the terminal here and then go over to shares and then open up app data. And you can see we copied that there. So we have the Seerr directory. So once we get all this spun up, we could probably just delete our Overseerr directory. So we've done that. And now the next thing is to set the permissions. So what we're going to do is go to the Unraid installation guide, and it says start at step 2. So it wants us to change the permissions to 1,000. I think mine are at 1,100, which is the default user group, but it does mention that this is what they prefer, so we're going to do what they want. Let's open up that terminal again and then paste this on in. Gotta fix this real quick. So now it is belonging to the 1,000 group. So from there, we're going to open up Overseerr here, and I'm just going to go ahead and edit this directly. So we're going to change the name. We're going to change this to Seerr. Our repository right here, we're going to want to change this as well. This right here is the new repository. Drop that on in, get rid of the space. Bridge is good, bash is good. The web UI is going to stay the same. Under more settings, we have our config path. We have 1,000, 100. I'm going to change this to 1,000. And there are some other variables that we're going to want to add. We have this extra parameter of init restart unless stopped. To do this, I'm going to have to go to advanced view. So there we go. We have our basically everything, extra parameters right here. So drop that in and let's change our icon URL as well. We got the icon URL right here. Give that a copy, drop that on in, and let's make sure everything else looks good. So we have our host and container port. We have our path. So we have app config and mount overseer. So that is right, except for I am going to want to change the name of this from Overseerr to simply Seerr, just like that. And additionally, let's click edit on this because the container path is not config. It is in fact app config. So / app config, just like that. Let's save those changes. Go down, everything else looks good. Let's hit apply, and hopefully everything just works how it's supposed to. Which it looks like the command finished successfully, so let's hit done and give this page a refresh on my local server, and look at that. It's working. Some of the images aren't there, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be fine. So now that I know that worked, we're going to go back over to shares, go into app data, and we're going to delete that old app data folder. So we have Overseerr right here, and we have Seerr right there, but we delete this one and hit start, get rid of that. There we go, sweet deal. It all works. You can see also there's a checking migration, so they have a whole migration manager built in there. But basically, you can see Overseerr stable. We're now on 3.1. We're good to go, and everything should just work. In settings, we still have everything all set up, which, by the way, if you've never set this up before, the whole kind of point of this is to work in conjunction with Surfshark and Radarr, which are media organization tools. So what you do is you go over here to services. When you first install it, it will take you through this whole setup process, but you could see I have my services right here in with the 1080p profile. So when I use this to request media or if somebody on my server requests a movie, I know, hey, they want the 1080p movie, so I'll go and buy a DVD and rip it and put it on there. But it's real easy, and you can add multiple servers. So if you have a separate Radarr server specifically for like 4K movies, that's something you could do. Over here, you have the option to set up Plex and Tatuli, which I never noticed this. Bet your watch history, I have a Tatuli instance spun up, so that might be something I dive into. Under general, we have the name, the application URL, and a whole bunch of different stuff. We have our users here, so I generally just set it up so the users themselves are whoever I have on my Plex server. So I'll blur out this probably, but you can see I have a couple different people that come in here and request media. You can import Plex users, so actually if I do this real quick, I'm missing quite a few people since I've done this last. So we can import just like that, and now everybody has access. And of course, you could create local users if you don't want to do it that way. We have issues here, no issues, which is always good. You can set up a block lists so you can block specific media that you don't want to show up. We have requests, so you can see somebody's requested The Floor, which is I think some sort of game show. I could approve that, and then that will get added automatically to Sonarr. So this just gives a really nice UI for those who aren't like managing your server to go in, find and request media. And when I say a good UI, I definitely mean it, because over here you go to discover, you can see the recently added stuff, watch lists. But what really makes this special, like if I go to movies, for example, is all the filtering stuff. So you can see this is like the most popular kind of movies at the moment. But if I go to active filters here, I can go by basically any variable or filter that you can think of. So we have the release dates, the studio that made it, genres, keywords. My personal favorite is down here for the streaming services. So some streaming services make better content than others. For example, I tend to like a lot of the HBO content. So I could select HBO and then go to a certain rating. So anything with a 7 or higher, and then make sure it has a good amount of votes. and then I'd go and then I would see only banger movies. I've seen most of these, and most of these are absolute bangers. So that's just a really good way to actually find and discover content, and kind of the same thing with shows. If I do the same thing, like HBO has to be a 7 or higher with a fair chunk of ratings, you could see we got some good shows here. Particularly some of my favorites, if you're curious, we got The Sopranos right there. Succession is good. Gossip Girl's one of my wife's favorites. I'm not seeing it on here, but like Deadwood, Peaky Blinders, we got Silicon Valley right there. Some good stuff. And then of course, if we go to Discover, it's just kind of a more generic. You can see trending, your watch list, movies that are popular. So just a little bit of everything with a nice kind of pretty interface that people who aren't familiar with managing Sonarr, Radarr, servers in general are probably going to have a really good time using. So that is about it. I'll finish off this video by heading on over to the GitHub, going under my home lab and then going under media, and we are going to update our compose YAML. I'm going to put the actual Seerr service directly in here. You can see right here I have Jellyseerr commented out because I don't know if people want to use Plex or Jellyfin, whatever. So I am going to make this just part of this stack. So do note that if you're somebody who uses my Docker Compose stacks here, which by the way, if you want to check out this Compose YAML and this whole kind of media setup here, I'll go through, update it before we release this video for Seerr. But this is some good stuff here. Best practices for general media organization, setting up network shares onto VMs or however you want to set it up. User permissions, so using 1000,000, how to do all that. Setting up the Docker Compose with environmental variables, the actual VPN setup, which this video is sponsored by Surfshark. So if you use Surfshark, the Gluten Docs has a, if you go to the provider page here, you can see all kinds of VPNs, but go to Surfshark here, and you can set it up with that if you would like to. I do hope you have an absolutely beautiful day, and goodbye.